Good evening.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you, dear?
I'm doing well. So is it Shayla or is it Shayla?
It's Chalet.
Chalet.
Hmm.
Chalet. What are your thoughts on what you heard in that video? Do you agree or do you disagree and why?
Um, I don't like to generalize and say most men or a lot of men. I'll just say some men. Yes, this represents some men. A good majority of men who never learned to appreciate women because either they've been oversaturated with feminine energy, but because they were raised by their moms and sisters and aunties. And so they didn't get enough masculine energy to help balance it. So perhaps it turned into, something, more sexual because they couldn't get that. So just because you don't get something as a child doesn't mean that you don't still need it. It doesn't take the need away. So because particularly if we go to the Black community, we know what happened to us. Um, there's a lot of men did not get masculine energy. They didn't get the fathers, they didn't get the uncles. And so, yes, I think that men still have that need for that masculine energy. And it can be manipulated and turned into perversion because we are a society that likes to pervert things. So, yes, it's really easy to do that. And then at the same time, I remember years ago, I met this gay guy, and I was talking to him and asking him, why, because I always like to question and just, find out. And he said, I was raised in a household and my aunties and my moms and sisters, they were just so mean and nasty and rude that I could never see myself dating one. And it
Wow.
just I mean, I was in my 20s at the time. It blew me away. But I understood. I could feel that. I felt that. And it hurt, as a woman myself. It was like, wow. Um, and that's not to blame women or anybody. That's just to say the facts, based on where we are. So yes, I do see this in a lot of men. It comes across in TikTok. It comes across in language. It comes across in the inability to be empathetic, to be compassionate, to understand women. It comes across in the cheating and the lying, in the sneaking, and the trying to get over, and the competitiveness. Um, yes, it comes across in the jealousy, in the one-upmanship. Um, if anytime you want to dominate a person, that shows that you feel inferior to them. So it shows in that when you say I want somebody submissive, mean you want to dominate somebody. That shows that you feel inferior. So yeah, it comes up, and I think the sister. I heard it before. I didn't know which clip you were going to play, but I think the sister she read a lot of men. I will never put it on all of you all because that's not the right thing to do or a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but she did read a lot of the energy that's out here. And I think I love your platform, but I think that a lot of men, because you all have such, and just not you all, everybody's so cliquish,
Mm-hmm.
that we tend not to be able to hear because we take it personally. So if somebody said something about women, even if
Mm-hmm.
it's not me, I take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, they're not talking to me. They're talking
Right.
specifically about something that they know that they experience. And it could be a lot of women, but it's not me. So we tend to take things so personally that we
Mm-hmm.
aren't able to hear what the other people's experience are. So here's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of women saying this, but a lot of men aren't hearing it because just feeling that, like you're talking to me, but we're not talking to you. We just need you to
Mm-hmm.
see what we see outside of you. And if you're
Right.
able to come over here for a second, not join our team, but just step over here for a second to see what we see, then perhaps we can solve the problem together. Because just like you don't like being clumped together with
Right.
those males, we don't like the fact that you don't see the fact that we know that they exist as well.
I
So,
understand.
so yeah, that's what I'll say on it. I hope I explained that well.
No, you did explain it
Okay.
well, Miss Chalet. My thing is like you're 100% right about like in that audio, did she read a lot of men? And that's why before I even brought you up here, like I'm not on the side of all men, and I'm not on the side of
Mm-hmm.
all women. Like,
Right.
I acknowledge that there are men that are like that. I also acknowledge that there are women that are like that as well. There are women that, you know,
Absolutely.
they can't and won't attach with a man emotionally. They can't have they're
Absolutely.
not interested in having an intellectual conversation with a man. If they can even do that, all they see men for is what's good between their legs as well. But what I think is the
Absolutely.
problem, Miss Chalet, is if that woman wanted to, if she wouldn't have tried to, like, you just the same way you said you're not with the generalizations, I'm not with the generalizations either. I'm I'm a heterosexual man. I've always been a heterosexual man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have female friends. I have women that I have like strictly platonic relationships with. So,
Mm-hmm.
and another thing, Michelle, is I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I don't see people in like of other ethnicities. I don't see women of other ethnicities talking about men the way I see our black women talk about men, and vice versa. Because I want to be fair, but I definitely don't see a woman of other ethnicities saying the similar things of
It's
men
so.
in their culture.
Can I
So
interrupt you for two
go ahead.
seconds? Just because I had to do some research on that because I was curious about that as well. And I actually went on YouTube. And if you
Mm-hmm.
go on YouTube, you'll hear Filipino women talking about Filipino men.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear I'm when I tell you every race that you can think of, you can put it in there and you'll
Mm-hmm.
hear the battle of the sexes. So again, because we aren't there in that world, we think that it's just us, but it's
Right.
not.
Right.
Everybody has beef because they're used to the men, the way that their culture deals with women or men, and it gets old. And it may be that we need to step out and try other things just to get a perspective, or maybe not. But it's not just a black thing. And I specifically had to go and find that out because I was like, is it just us? Is that a, just we think? It's not. It's cultural. Like every culture, every race, white men will talk about white women, men will talk about white women will talk, Asian men will dog Asian women. It is across the board. So it's not just us. Just wanted to say that.
Okay. Yeah, but I just think, like, if someone want, man or woman, if they want to get on their platform and speak about certain things, I just think we need to stop trying to like make these big generalizations, especially because, you know, she's indirectly, and what other women are indirectly saying is basically like men are either bisexual or they're like down low. Like they really, if they could, they would just be with men, but they don't want to be seen as like being homosexual. They want to be seen as being heterosexual. So they deal with so they deal with women to do certain things, but their heart is really with men. And that's, I don't think that is true for a lot of men, especially men in our community. Like, just say that that's, as a woman, just say that that's what your specific experience has been, or know a
But
lot of
but
women
that's
that have the same
but isn't
experience. But
that
let's not try to make it seem like most of the black men are like this, or most of the
but
black
isn't
women
that
are like
already
this.
inferred? I mean, it's inferred in when a person is speaking out of their mouth, they're generally speaking about their experience. So if like it's inferred that a person is generalizing. So we kind of already know that even if you speak in a generalization, that you're not speaking of everybody at all. Even if you
Mm-hmm.
said all, it's already inferred because you're specifically speaking from your perspective. So maybe it's more that we don't, instead of uh it's the way that we react or respond to people speaking in generalization. So like I don't need to there's a quote that I love. It says, don't fight the dark, just turn on the light. Like you have no reason to fight a person about their perspective if it's not you. It's not a point. It's a mute point. We know it's not all men, but there are some men that she's speaking to him. So we know that she knows him, and she's
Right.
speaking to other men that are like that, and that's good enough. Those men who are not like that, when you all come to the defense of all men, it puts you in the category with those men. So the if you fight a statement as, oh, that's not true, versus saying, okay, well, obviously there's some guys like that. That's not how I am. And I know a few guys who aren't like that. But obviously you all are seeing something. So that's an interesting point of view. And leave it at that. It's no need to fight it because we know it's not all men. And if it's not you, it's definitely no need to fight it. Just the same way I said when men will say like all women, you know, are not, I don't need to fight about all like somebody saying all women be dressing so and so. If I don't dress like that, I do not respond to that because that has nothing to do with me. But I do know there are women who they're talking to specifically. And they can have that conversation and feeling all they want to, but I don't need to respond to everything because it's not directed at me. That wasn't, if that's not how you are, that wasn't directed at you. And there's no need to take that personally. And when you do, and I actually had a conversation with my fiance about that, and I asked, why is that? Why do you defend things that you know aren't even you? And there's a certain level of camaraderie-ness, and like I was talking about, that cliquishness that stops us from growing because we take things personally versus just listening to the person's experience. Just validate her experience. What I heard was pain. I didn't hear somebody who was trying to bash men. I heard pain. I heard, I want to be able, for whatever reason, she can't connect with men emotionally. It could be personal, it could be them. I heard, I would love to connect with a man emotionally. Maybe she didn't have a father because a lot of us didn't. So maybe that's where it started. I never was able to have a relationship with my father. But if we validate her experience, then we can get to the bottom of where her feelings are coming from. But we don't need to invalidate her because it's okay. There are some men like that, and it's okay. And we can discuss it without getting offended by it because yeah, it happens. It happens. It's real. It's real. A lot of men don't know how to express their desire to be, their love for another man or their feelings for another man, and they don't necessarily want to have sex with that man. They just like to be around that man and like his energy, and they're cool and they get along. And I saw a video response to this, and he was on point. And I'll send it to you.
Okay.
He said, just say you're not able to connect with a man. I was like, yes. Like the way he responded to it was so on point.
Right.
Out of turn it into him, maybe it's you, which was a great way because maybe it is her.
Right.
Maybe it is. Maybe we aren't able to create a space where a man feels comfortable because shit, we get to PMSing and all your shit get thrown back in your face. Maybe that is why you shut down. But if we validate her feelings, then we can get to a deeper discussion, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If we can just validate that, okay, now maybe the why is questionable. Why is it that you connect? Maybe it's you, not them, you know.